Mind control is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just a tool of the trade. So you can either decide to co-create and co-program what happens in your mind and in your reality, or you can let societal systems and norms program what happens in your reality. Meaning that if you don't want a whole bunch of drama and you don't want a whole bunch of just shenanigans and weirdo stuff, you probably shouldn't be watching reality shows. Like I had to stop. I had to unsubscribe to Peacock. No more Real Housewives of who done it, when, where, why. Even though I used to really like those shows, I realized that like when I took a break from watching reality TV and then watched it again, I had a much more hyper emotional day the next day than when I wasn't listening to it. So, and we know that whatever you repeat in your experience, you get more of it. It's like feedback loop. Like if you repeat it, you experience it. So it's important that if you don't want to experience certain things, that you literally cut it out of your experience. And one way you can do that is by changing what you listen to, changing the music you listen to, changing the shows that you watch, changing the people you interact with, changing your emotional capacity for nonsense and things that you don't want to experience. Now, every once in a while, if you want to do like just like a escapism thing, fine, but just be mindful that once you bite into that previous thing that you had an obsession with, like a tie or a link with, it's harder to stay away from it. You know what I mean? And it's not an overnight change. There are incremental steps to where you first like, oh, well, I'm not going to do this anymore. Then you're like, well, I'm not going to do that anymore. And incrementally you change, and then you realize like, wow, my entire way of living has changed. And that's another main thing that I've learned. Healing and being on this spiritual path and this spiritual journey is not an overnight change. It is a lifestyle change where you decide, you know what, in order for me to live a different way, I actually have to, in reality, practically day to day, live differently. So when you enter into this journey towards manifesting with intent, co-creating with the universe, forgiving, healing, changing your reality, you actually do change your day-to-day, your daily activities actually change along with that. And that's something very, very important to consider before you jump on this journey. And it's one of those things like the more you know, the more you're expected. So when you do make that leap and that jump, if you don't stick with it, something in my eye, if you get the backhand, is what I'm trying to say, of whatever mistake, it's gonna hit harder than it would have previously. Everything you do, even the blessings, the good things and the negative things, they will hit harder because you have more energy, you're more impacted, you're more impactful to your environment, you're in more control. So the result you get will be heavier than what you would have gotten previously. So it's important to note that so that you can make better decisions, so that you can have more desired circumstances, because the universe doesn't necessarily recognize it one way or the other. It's just an experience. So if you want to control the experiences that you have, control what you consume in your everyday life.